And welcome back. We have a 2007 Toyota FJ Cruiser, and we're going to go ahead and change the transmission fluid as well as the transmission filter. Let's remove this drain plug and be sure to have some sort of a pan or something to catch the fluid with. If you're not changing out the filter, you do not have to worry about any of this. Just go ahead and put your drain plug back on and skip forward on the video. I'm just using my impact gun to get this ball rolling and just try to knock it out as fast as I can, but of course you could go ahead and use just regular hand tools to get this off. I'm going to remove all the bolts around the pan, but leave 2 of them in place on opposite sides. This is just so that the pan doesn't come falling down and hit you in the head or something. Once the pan is loose, you could go ahead and remove the final 2 bolts and the pan should come off. If it doesn't want to come off, try not to pry between the pan and the mating surface on the transmission. You do not want to damage any of that. Instead, try using some sort of a rubber mallet or something like that and just kind of give it some gentle wax and try to get the pan off without doing any damage to it. And here goes the filter. It's only held on by 4 bolts, so just go ahead and remove those and you could pull the filter right off of the transmission. And here my filter came off, but the O-ring still stuck to the transmission, so make sure you grab your O-ring if it is on the transmission still. I'm just quickly cleaning the surface of the old filter to show you how dirty it was and all the grime and dirt that it's collected. I don't like how the gasket was just bundled inside the box and it's just out of shape, and it just makes it that much more difficult when you're trying to install it on the pan. So here is the new filter obviously, and before I commit to opening it up, I just want to make sure it looks identical to the one that came off of the car. And here's just what the new filter looks like compared to the old one. So there you go. Obviously you could see there's some sort of a debris stuck in the filter or something like that. It would be interesting to cut the old filter open, but I'm not that curious. So here's the new filter, and as you can see, the new O-ring is already installed. And here's the O-ring that I had to pull off of the transmission, so you really want to make sure you get the old one off. On the inside of the oil pan, you're going to find 4 magnets, and they're basically there to collect any metal debris that may be floating around inside of the fluid. And as you can see, they're doing their job, but they are looking pretty bad. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean them up and put them back into the pan. And here's what a clean magnet looks like compared to the dirty one. Now you could remove the old gasket off of the oil pan and just basically prep the surface, try to clean any oil that you can off, and just get it ready for the new gasket. You can use brake parts cleaner or carb cleaner to just go ahead and clean the surface of wherever the gasket is going to sit. I really didn't want to use any silicone on this. I like to be able to use the gasket and let it do its job. But the gasket from sitting inside of the box is deformed and it won't sit flat on the pan. So in order to get the gasket to sit on the pan, I'm going to have to use a very thin layer of silicone just to kind of work as some glue to hold the gasket in place. So just how you prep the oil pan to accept the new gasket, you want to come underneath the vehicle and clean the mating surface on the transmission anywhere where the gasket is going to sit. So you don't want any oil, dirt, or debris on this mating surface because it could lead to a future leak. To help install the filter a little bit easier and to make sure that you don't damage the O-ring, just grab some new transmission fluid and just rub it on the O-ring and it'll help it slide into place much easier. I couldn't find any torque specs for the filter, so I'm just going to go ahead and torque it down to the same value that the oil pan is going to be torqued down to. So I'm starting in the center of the pan, torquing the first bolt, and then I go to the opposite side and torque that one. And just keep doing that back and forth, kind of like a star pattern. And just keep doing that until you've completed all the bolts and you're done. Right above the oil pan, you could see the fill plug. So we're going to remove that so we could add the new fluid. So here's the old fluid that came out the transmission, and you can see it's way past due. So we're gonna go ahead and compare it to the new fluid, and look at that, it's a massive difference. Look at that color. Since there's no access to pour the fluid into the transmission, we're gonna have to pump it in using a pump like this. I got this one from my local auto parts store. It's very inexpensive and it screws right on top of the cord here, and it'll help you pump the fluid in. If you have your car up on jack stands, make sure you put it down on the ground so it's on a level surface before you start filling it. But since I'm using my floor ramps, I don't want to move the vehicle without having any type of oil in the transmission, so I put in 2 quarts ahead of time. I'm going to leave the truck running so the transmission can warm up, and meanwhile I'm going to remove this indicator plug. It lets you know when the transmission is full. So with the plug removed, I'm just going to keep pumping the oil in up here, and when it starts dripping out of that hole, you know that it's full, and you could go ahead and stop pumping and put the cap back on it. All you have to do now is torque down the indicator plug and torque down the fill plug, and you're all done. So I hope the video helped you. If it did, give it a thumbs up, and like always, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.